Hello, folks. Welcome to our next session on the wise words of Mr. Rogers. We are going to start with something he said in an interview about a book he wrote. So in the 1990s, Mr. Rogers published a book about the various things that he had said and his ideas he had put across over the years, compiled them. And he was in an interview with Charlie Rose about the book. When he was talking about the book, he said to the interviewer that he talked about the white spaces between the paragraphs. And I thought this was really cool. What he was saying is that it's just as important as the words in the book, or the spaces between the words, between the print, between Mr. Rogers' ideas, because that's the space for interpretation and reflection of the words. And I just really like the way he said that. It's a space that lets you think about the meaning of the words and what's written. So there was one place in the book where he wrote, "Take 1 minute to think about someone who has made a difference in your life." And in the book, when that was written, after that sentence, the whole rest of the page was blank, because he was giving the reader the space and the time to reflect, which really fits in his whole way of being, right? He was very slow and thoughtful about the way he did things. So this sort of fits in well. So when asked about who had made a difference in his life during this interview, he said that for him, it was a lot of people, and mostly it's been the people who allowed him to have some silence. And this really resonated for me. As Mr. Rogers astutely acknowledged, our society focused today more on information than on wonder. Think about all of the information that's available at our fingertips these days, and that's where we focus. And we give so little time and mental space to all the wonder that is around us. And I've talked about wonder and awe a little bit in some of the other lessons. And he also said we're focused on noise and not silence. He went on to describe silence as a gift that we can give to others. And as a way, and how do we encourage reflection? By offering this gift. And as Mr. Rogers said, he said, "Oh my, it's a noisy world." And it is for sure. And what we can do in this world to encourage people to have more quiet, and we can encourage people to have more quiet and silence in their lives, because as Mr. Rogers deeply understood, revelation can come from science and quiet time. So experts and research studies alike have confirmed that, especially in a really loud world, time spent in silence can bring really numerous health benefits. So even sounds that we aren't aware of, particularly those sounds we hear when we're asleep, can have a tremendous impact on our well-being and our health. Though we might be sleeping, our ears never sleep, and we're constantly taking in sound, even as we're sleeping. And it's a very sensitive organ while we're in deep slumber, and still picking up and transmitting sound to the brain. Studies have shown that nocturnal sounds can increase the risk of cardiovascular disease, and long-term exposure to noise can lead to a variety of health issues, including high blood pressure, heart disease, sleep problems, understandably, cognitive problems in kids. And it can also just affect how we feel in terms of stress, anxiety, depression, fatigue. And this is true for humans, and it's true for animals as well. So, though an absence of sound may suggest emptiness, you may discover that by dialing down the noise in your life, it offers surprising fullness to the body, mind, and spirit. And in fact, silence is not empty at all. And silence can help your body in physical ways, like lowering blood pressure, improving concentration and focus. It stimulates brain growth, can reduce cortisol, and helps with insomnia. And just for us, our minds, it can promote self-awareness and stimulate creativity and help us feel less stressed. And it can even be a powerful way to be with others, especially if that person you are with is troubled or going through some issues. Silence with that person, sharing silence with someone, it can communicate acceptance of the other person as they are, um, as in that given moment, particularly when they have strong feelings like sorrow or fear or anger. It can be a way to accept what they're feeling. And it's funny, I had prepared this lesson last night, and this afternoon I was listening to a podcast, and this woman, it was older woman, she was 100. She was some big woman in the fashion world. I don't recall her name, but fascinating. And she's 100. She still goes for a 2-hour swim every morning, and it's her meditation time. She's talked about how she was between, it was just her between the ocean below and the sky above, and she used it as a meditation. And she was talking about how important silence is. So I was listening to this just this afternoon, coincidentally, and I'm like, yes, and how important that was to her. And it was Julia Louise-Dreyfus, the actress who's been a number of things like in Seinfeld. I don't know if you kids would know about her, but she was doing the interviewing, and she was also, agreed how that time away from the noise is really important. And I know it is for me. And one of my own habits now that I'm in my camp for the summer is go down to my new pond that I don't know if I probably mentioned this in one of the videos, but I had a marsh and some beavers were busy this spring, and I now have a pond. And I go down in the evening and I just sit. And it is the time, it's a mental silence. All right. So there's still sounds around me. I hear the birds, sometimes the beavers swim by and splash their tails. And I hear the frogs, lots of frogs, very loud frogs, but it's silence from the more theoretical noise, silence from my day, silence all the stuff from work, dealing with tenants, dealing with all that stuff that's in your head all day. That's really where the real silence comes in. You get away from all that's usually pouring into you during your typical day. So this silence is a theme that Mr. Rogers came back to regularly throughout his life, including in his commencement speech at Dartmouth College in 2002. And here's what he said. "I'd like to give you an invisible gift, a gift of a silent minute to think about those who have helped you become who you are today. Some of them might be here right now. Some may be far away. Some, like my astronomy professor, may even be in heaven. But wherever they are, if they've loved you and encouraged you and wanted what was best in life for you, they're right inside yourself. And I feel that you deserve quiet time to devote some thought to them. So let's just take a minute in honor of those that have cared about us all along the way." Whoever, and then he goes on to say, after whomever you've been thinking about, imagine how grateful they must be that during your silent times, you remember how important they are to you. It's not the honors and prizes, the fancy outsides of life, which ultimately nourish our souls. It's the knowing that we can be trusted, that we never have to fear the truth, that the bedrock of our lives from which we make our choices is very good stuff. And I just getting the shivers reading that. I just think it's wonderful. So how I want to end today is that it's your turn and my turn as well, to take a minute to think about those who have helped you become who you are today and who you might become in the future. I'm not going to pause the video, as I usually do, but instead I will take, looking at my clock now, we will take 1 minute of silence, and we will sit and think about those people in our lives who have really had a big impact on who we are. So let us take a minute to pause in silence to reflect upon this. I think that's about a minute. I don't have the second hand of my digital clock here. And actually, I was sort of enjoying the sounds of the wind outside and everything, and I could have sat here forever. So just a little glimpse of who I thought about, and really my feeling was that when I started thinking about it, I thought about just how many people have impacted who I am today. And my dog just got up and staring at me. And I admit, as I was sitting here, it's getting to that time of day where she wants a walk and dinner. So she was lying down with her chin down, but staring up at me. And I was thinking, you know what? My dogs have had a big impact on me too. And who I am and what I do and how I prioritize my life. Anyway, but I was thinking about just how everyone who I've sort of had some sort of interaction with in life really has helped shape who I am. Even all of you, all of the Seaside UCC family, each of you has shaped me in some small way just by our interactions, right? And then I started thinking about the people as my piano teacher when I was a child, and thinking maybe I can have that sort of influence in my own piano students, just helping them have that love for music. And that's certainly been a big part of my life. But really, I think what I was thinking about the most was just how so many people, I mean, I'm someone who likes my space and everything, but I have to acknowledge that those interactions I've had with others in my life are very important and have a huge impact on who I am. So I hope you thought about some people in your life that, yes, and here she comes. She's waiting for her walk, that have had an impact on you, and that you enjoyed having a little bit of space and time of silence to do that. So have a great week. Here's to hoping we see some sunshine before I see you again.